Okay, we are live, baby. Welcome to day 22 of the series of live streams promoting Intact Global's inaugural conference, baby. Superman. Right? um, so Intact Global is hosting its first conference March 29 to 31 in Portland, Oregon, which is where we will be filing our inaugural constitutional challenge to attempt to literally stop the bleeding, both figuratively and literally, of infants, right? We're trying to stop the genital cutting of children on constitutional equal protection grounds, right? And so we've had more ticket sales since the last live stream. And this live stream was to answer your questions as well as to, how should I say, answer your questions and also promote the conference. And had I known we were going to get so many ticket sales by this point in time, I probably wouldn't have promised to do it every single day. That's okay. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Ocean Birth, great to see you. Hi. Corey, hello. Always good to see you, Corey. Rachel, good to see you. Thanks for joining the stream. So what I was doing just now is to see if there's been any additional ticket sales from this morning, right? Because we had some this morning. And did we, Osaka Joe, great to see you on GoFundMe. All right, so we're doing good. We've got about 9 tickets left, right? So we're looking for a full house, and we've got 13 days to the conference. So Tina, a friend of mine in the immediate Los Angeles area, maybe San Francisco, maybe both, she just bought a ticket. Dylan, great to see you. Buick, happy Sunday. Good evening. Thank you for your help with the Discord channels. Yeah, but we are looking great. Our local council's very excited. And we might have 11 attorneys speaking now. We might have 11 attorneys because we had 9 and now we have 10, although the website doesn't reflect it. But as of today, we might have 11, right? This is the single greatest gathering of legal professionals to address the crisis that is infant genital mutilation in this country. So we are doing great. It sounds like my sound is back online, baby. We did a little troubleshooting with that, and yeah, we are poised to launch this historic lawsuit in the immediate future. Now, for those of you who still haven't got a ticket, again, there's only nine left. Go to this link right there. It should be clickable, especially if you're watching on YouTube, right? And when you click on that link, let me show you where it goes, because it's going to take you to the conference page, which has all the info, who's talking, what's going on, you name it. The URL is also Intact Global/conference, right? And so that's the one that I use because it's easiest to type. But let's see. I'm going to share what's going on if you go to that link, because that is what we're promoting right now, is the conference ticket. Now it's Sunday. I have somewhere to be in 1 minute, and I'm gonna not be on time, and that's okay. But so anyway, the conference is going to be held March 29 to 31. So that's in 13 days, right? Not next Saturday, but the following Saturday we begin. It's going to happen in Portland, Oregon, specifically in the Sentinel Hotel, which is a cool boutique specialty hotel unique to Portland. And it will be historic in that one, it's going to be a great gathering, great strategy session, great presentations, great networking. If this is, if you're in the movement, but, and then at the end, we're going to sue the state of Oregon. And then we're going to find out, okay, how do we find our other plaintiffs and our other lawyers in different states, right? And the reality is, I know a lot of lawyers in a lot of different states, but we need the plaintiffs as well. So if you were cut and you're 26 years or younger, then it is worth getting in touch with me or submitting an info form on intactglobal.org and say, look, I want to be a plaintiff, because we might be able to make that happen. Because Oregon may be the first state we're suing, but it's certainly not the last, right? It is actually just the beginning. So that's what's going on there. But yeah, so to kind of run down what's going on. So starting with general admission, right? So that's going to be Saturday, Sunday. You're going to hear from leading lawyers, activists, and other thought leaders. We're going to have 2 full days of presentations, right? Mostly TED Talks, 18 minutes in and out, ask questions, some panels. Networking will be important. We're going to have a room where local intactivist orgs and other intactivist orgs can put out their promotional material. So, John Atkinson, Tim Hammond, if you're on the stream, that's something new that I need to relay to you, certainly to Tony, to the local Portland intactivist groups. So we now have another room where we can set up, little informational tables for all the intactivist orgs that are going to be represented there. And yeah, it's going to be held at the Sentinel Hotel, which is like a really cool. I flew up to Portland and saw like 10 different venues with my lead videographer, right? Because we're going to be suing in Portland. Makes sense. And we had to host the press conference where we were going to file the lawsuit. And we also had to host another conference where we're like, look, let's just do it all in the same place for efficiency, right? Because I think, those of us in the movement, we got so many cycles, let's get it all done at once, right? So it makes a lot of sense. And plus, we're going to get good numbers for that press conference as well in Pioneer Courthouse Square. But this is where the conference is being held. It's a great, it's a beautiful building, both outside and inside. There's a reason, I picked this over the Hiltons and the Marriotts that we looked at. I mean, the rooms are pretty quaint and cool too. But yeah, so that's where the conference is going to be held. And we're going to have 2 days of presentations with great catering, right? So if you buy a ticket, the ticket really just covers the cost of the catering, right? Because it's like you get 2 catered lunches and then you get a great buffet on Saturday night, and, you have drinks and coffee throughout. But we're going to start with the board of directors of Intact Global, right? So I'm going to start with a talk. It's going to be called The State of the Movement, Not the Future of Intactivism. That'll be at the end. Joe McCormick's going to talk about, okay, how do we raise enough money to sustain this, right? Because with $30,000, we can host this conference, we can sue Oregon, but my law firm is floating a lot of it. And if we want to sue, let's say, 2 states, 5 states, 10 states, 20 states, even 40 states, which is totally doable, we need to raise like significant resources. Not like millions and millions, but certainly many hundreds of thousands. And that's totally within range of considering the importance of the work we're trying to do, right? Kind of like escape the child sacrifice timeline, totally doable. So yeah, Joe's going to talk about how we're going to raise the money to do that. Shay's going to talk about how we essentially set aside our differences to work together, right? Because a lot of people want to see us stop cutting up babies, but we need to put aside our, left or right or different or wing views and say, okay, how do we work together on this? I may dislike everything you believe except not mutilating infants. Let's work together on that. And so Shay's actually great at getting people to agree and move together towards a common goal. And then we have Will Long, who's going to talk about, okay, we get a lot of professionals who reach out to us and other activists say, I want to help. Like, how do we onboard them in a way where you can leverage your skills in a way that's useful, right? Like, what is that intake and the process like? And as Jake Antone says, just one win will cause a snowball effect. Absolutely, right? We get 1, we get 2, we get 2, we get 4, and so on and so forth. And it's the same with the Nordic countries trying to make it illegal. It's, once one makes it illegal, others will be like, dude, we're done with baby mutilation too. I know that like Israel is calling us anti-Semitic, but they're not really in a position to be, casting negative labels, right? So we're gonna move now. But Will's going to talk about how do we get, how do we organize our volunteers? And Greg Melchek asks, are you awarded legal fees if you win in court? You can, and we're asking for it. Doesn't mean that we will, but that will certainly help move things along. So yeah, that's going to be the first day, Saturday, and then we'll have a panel, board of directors. We'll have a catered lunch, so you'll get to pick chicken, salmon, or other dish, vegetarian. Then we're going to have other leaders of the movement talk, and we're going to have... how should I say, the executive director of Intaction, the executive director of GALDEF, the executive director of Doctors Opposing Circumcision. We're going to have Carrie Cantrell, who's going to talk about the intersex interest in intactivism, right? Because, this is not just baby boys who are thrown to the scalpels, but it's also intersex children are extremely high risk as well. And not just high risk, like the vast majority have parts of their genitals cut off for no reason, totally healthy. And it causes a lot of problems. So, a lot of people are not familiar with intersex or what that term means and, what's going on there. So that'll be an important session. And then Michael Abanika, a friend of mine who's coming from Uganda, right, for this conference. And he's got a great network of human rights activists throughout Africa, right? So it's going to be good for us activists in America to start building this intercontinental network, because we can help people in various African countries with their litigation and initiatives and vice versa. Because once the court, let's say in Portland, is getting amicus briefs from all over the world, like you gotta rule for the plaintiffs, because they're moving history forward and civil rights forward. That's going to be really helpful. So we really want to nurture that connection with Michael. Then we're going to have a panel of the various Intact Coalition members. We're going to have a great dinner. It's the nicest dinner that the Sentinel offers, right? I really put your ticket fees to use. And then on Sunday, it's the Intact Litigators Day. So all of these are attorneys. All of them have been involved in intactivism in one way or the other. Martin's going to talk about various things that have proven to be successful in the movement, right? Defunding. People aren't going to mutilate their kids if how should I say, they have to pay for it, right? So that once and for all can really kind of reduce rates dramatically. Zenas will talk probably about the difference in state and federal court. He's filed lawsuits similar to this about 30 years ago, which, was too early. We commend him, and I totally support that initiative, but the public wasn't ready to deal with this issue in the 90s, although I believe it is now, and we're certainly going to test that theory, right? Peter Adler is going to talk about, I think his talk is called Circumcised, Can I Sue? And the answer is yes, and here's all the ways you can do it, right? So that's what his talk's going to be about. Brad Kane's going to talk about messaging for the movement. What is a message that could win? Not just like the hardcore intactivists, but like the vast majority of people who are like somewhat passive or indifferent. Then Deborah Ashagian, she's a civil rights attorney. She's going to talk about the dangers of cultural conditioning. She joined me on a live, a few days ago, and she'll probably join me in a live next weekend as well. But she grew up in a conservative Jewish community, and so like her conditioning on this issue was much stronger than most people. And thankfully, she was just poking around online and found an article on circumcision, read it, and said, oh, wow, that doesn't really conform to my worldview. And then she did more research and said, oh, my God, good Lord, this is genital mutilation, and my community is doing it wholesale to all our boys. And how do we stop that, right? So she's going to talk about her experiences there. John Siller will probably talk about his activism in his own space, bisexual LGBTQ activism, and how to make that cool, assumed, and normal. And that's what we want to do with intactivism. It needs to be cool to be with us, not like it's not cool to mutilate infants, right? That's just not a cool thing to do. And, we just need to move the culture forward. John had a lot of good success. He'll probably talk about incongruities in the law. Like in Oregon, you can't pierce a minor's foreskin. You can't pierce the genitals, but you can sever it wholesale. That makes no sense. You can't tattoo the foreskin of a child, but you can amputate it and then tattoo the severed foreskin. That makes no sense at all. So there's a lot of total inconsistencies. It's a total aberration in law, and so we want to shine a light on that. We'll have a panel of lawyers. Then I'll give a talk called "The Future of Intactivism," of where we are and where we could be. Right? Where could we be in the immediate future? Because as we've seen, and I got great graphs, I mentioned it yesterday, America changes its mind very quickly once one state does, and certainly a handful. And we could get that going. Well, we are getting it going on Monday, March 31st. So here are all the speakers, right, of the conference. We have probably 2 more attorneys who I'm going to add to that list, which is exciting, both local to Portland. And then, Sunday night, we have the founders dinner. Now, unfortunately, that one is sold out. I'm going to see if I can get more seats on it, but I don't think that I can. We rented out the green room there. And then, and then on Monday, March 31st, in the late morning, we have a permit pending for the Courtyard Square. And so we're going to meet the plaintiffs, me, the lawyer, the other lawyers pursuing the case, and other stakeholders are going to give little stump speeches to talk about why this is so important. I'm going to answer some questions. I see there's a whole bunch of questions. Again, Gregory, we're going to ask for it. There's no guarantee we're going to get legal fees. And as Jake said, snowball effect, just one win. I agree. And as I was talking about earlier, about once one Nordic country does it, Foreskin Girl says, I agree. She's clearly committed to the cause. Once a Nordic country says enough is enough and this is mutilation, the others will follow. And I think Finland will be the first, which would be absolutely epic. Totally agree, Dylan. Fight, fight, fight. So just real quick, and I'll get to the other comments. This is how you get, I'm losing it. This is where you get to buy your early bird tickets, either here or here. So if you click on this, you come to our ticket tailor site, and then you can kind of go through the motions. You should register for the lawsuit because that's free, and then get your tickets. It's the Saturday, Sunday. Again, we've got 9 remaining. We want a full house. We're just going to keep it at 200. And then, you click next and you fill in your name, email, you got it, right? And then if you don't have a room yet, I highly recommend doing discounted hotel rooms because it's $40 off a night, brings it down to a Marriott or Hilton. And the reality is, if we don't book enough, then they're probably going to ding me personally, which we don't want. But it's a nice hotel. And again, it's not working, the links. So I have to get on that. That's a problem. So I'm going to do a little screenshot again, and then I'm probably just going to forget about it because I'm busy and I have a lot of other casework to do, but we did that. So that is where we are at. And to answer some of your questions, it's still light out. We're doing a live, which is great. Rachel Suho says, do you know any intact pro rabbis? No, I'm not like super in the community, although I speak for the entire Jewish community when I say we're going to stop mutilating our infants. I don't know any pro intact rabbis, although I believe there are some. As Corey says, let's hope Europe catches wind of this and starts banning it in their countries. I think that once we create the national conversation in America that we're no longer a monolith pro-circumcision nation, it's going to be a lot easier for other countries to kind of say, look, we're not going to do this. I mean, Trump has already defunded circumcision in Africa, which is epic, and it was the right call. And then once we start challenging the constitutionality of male genital cutting, I think it could really snowball big time. As Gregory says, the intersex situation is rather nuanced. I don't know how to feel about mixing the issues. Well, the reality is they're the same issue. It's medically unnecessary in cosmetic genital cutting. So I don't see them as different issues. I appreciate that, John. It is an awesome group of speakers. We did a lot of work to get all these people together. And John, wants to hear more about Gregory, as Gregory's views, as does Ocean Birth. We could discuss it on a future live because I got to run. I appreciate the hairstyle. As Greg said, I made a video about it. Basically, intersex do have pathology that uncirc boys don't. Intersex surgeries don't actually fix the altered anatomy and probably damage sexual function. Yeah, it's the same thing. Circumcision doesn't fix anything. It just removes functional tissue. Some biblical scholars say Genesis 17 is different. So anyway, I'm going to wrap that up. I'm going to put the link to the conference one more time. Hopefully this is a clickable link. I look forward to seeing all of those of you at the conference. Let's say in 13 days, we have just about a full house. So if you're gonna go to the conference, now is the time to buy a ticket because I've seen them be bought in, groups of a few numbers. So it's not unrealistic that the 9 remaining tickets could sell out fairly soon. I mean, we've already got pretty much a full house, and we've got 11 attorney speakers, about 5 leaders of the movement, Intact Global's directors, you name it. So yeah, we are absolutely crushing. I appreciate all of you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. And yeah, make sure you're subscribed. I appreciate that. I should sleep more. Make sure you're subscribed. Subscribe to my channel, like my streams, share this, you name it. Okay, bye guys.